Hi, so I'm going to talk again today about reading skills and assessments for students at the ELI. My students are college age, and the classes that I teach are usually high beginner to low intermediate. So I really liked a lot of the ideas in this in Tenenbaum's reading on alternative assessment. Um, there's a section on nonverbal assessment strategies, which I think is really interesting. And there's one pictorial products, and that reminded me of a technique that I learned from Jake Wines. Some of you might know him. He's also in the program. So what he does and what I've tried and I really like, so this would be an assessment for extensive reading. So we would talk about extensive reading and reading for meaning and not necessarily form. And then what you do is, so the teacher reads a chapter or a longer text out loud to the class while they follow along in their book. And you stop every paragraph or two, and the students draw a picture of what they heard. And then at the end, you have the students get into pairs and share their pictures and talk about what they understood from the reading. And it's fun. The students really like that. Another suggestion for an alternative assessment was dialogue journals. This would also be a good assessment for extensive reading. And I've heard about dialogue journals before, and whenever I read about it, it's usually the idea is the students write, and then the teacher collects the journals and responds without correcting errors or anything like that, but just responds to the students' ideas. And I like that. But I also think it could be interesting to have the students exchange dialogue journals with a partner. So maybe if you're reading a short novel, the students would have the same dialogue journal partner the whole time, and they would write back and forth. And then maybe at the end, the teacher could collect them, or more often than that. But I think that might be a little less pressure if you're just exchanging with one of your classmates. There's also an idea about physical demonstrations, and one activity that I did this week, I was substituting a class, and the lesson was on some and any, and so after the lesson on the screen, I put up different sentences missing some or any. And if the students thought the answer was some, they would go to one side of the room, and if they thought the answer was any, they would go to the other side. And so there were a lot of sentences coming up, and they were running back and forth. The first time I did this activity was with a high school class, and so I was a little wary of doing it with adults. And they were wary of doing it too. They kind of rolled their eyes when I made them stand up, but a few sentences in, they were really enjoying themselves, and I think they appreciated actually being able to stand up. I think I would appreciate being able to stand up in the middle of a class. Something else. Oh, from the book, the Seymour and Walsh book, they talked about authentic reading and authentic assessment, like using readings and reading skills that students would need outside of class. And one idea that was earlier in this book was having students read the course syllabus. So I think, I could teach scanning for details, and then they could maybe come in the next day and we would have a test, like a quiz, a true or false quiz on the syllabus. And I think another good idea for these students would be to do something similar with the ELI policy on plagiarism, because our students are sometimes confused about what constitutes plagiarism. So that's, being able to read a syllabus and understand a plagiarism policy or the policies of a class, I think is really useful and authentic for a lot of these students who do plan to go to U.S. universities, and then giving them kind of an informal assessment on it. And we could go over the answers together, and that would be another opportunity for, just discussing classroom policies. So those are my ideas, and I look forward to hearing what other people have to say.